Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Mortuary Show. We got a fun one this week, something a little bit different. We went live from a continuing education event hosted by Compassion Funeral Service here in Chicago. We talked to a bunch of funeral directors. I asked them a lot of crazy questions. I pretty much drag them on to get them to give us the dirt of their day-to-day job. Really fun one. Glad I got to experience the live scenario of the Mortuary Show. So give a listen today. It'll be a lot of fun. Want to answer a question? Come on. One question.
Okay, what you get?
Don't be scared. All right. What's your name?
Rory.
Rory?
Yes, sir.
Rory, what was your favorite job or favorite day on the job as a funeral director that you ever had? If you could pinpoint one.
Oh, that's a good question.
All right, how about your least favorite day? That's easier.
Oh, I picked up a guy that got decapitated, man. Middle of Roosevelt Road.
Tell us about it.
It was a young lady. Unfortunately, she was speeding and texting. Guy was crossing the street, poor guy, leaving the VA hospital. In our town, we do like indigent bodies will help the police remove bodies off the scene. Decapitation.
So what'd you guys do then? Was it a cremation or what was it?
Transport the body to the medical exam. They took over. We just had to do the transport. And a couple of train wrecks, wasn't bad, but the decapitation was the worst.
So were you there on the scene? Like, what was that like? Or was it multiple? I mean, you know what I'm asking? Like, is it a couple trips?
Yeah, well, his body was at one part. I think the head was maybe like a half block away. She must have been, pushing it. So, but media was there, things like that. So, but yeah, that was probably the toughest thing I had to deal with.
Good deal. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Rory.
Posted on Tuesday, so you can probably see it.
Yeah. Check it out. Good holiday Tuesday. Yeah.
First question, man. So
I know. I was like, I give you a hard one on the first one. I got to give you a little bit easier.
a couple of celebrity members. So
Oh yeah? Like who?
was kind of, see. I mean,
Do you have to hide it? Yeah. Keep talking.
sure.
Do you have to hide it? So Rory's saying that he's done some celebrity funerals. Do you have to like sign an NDA or can you tell us who it was?
Well, no, we didn't have to do NDA. Recently, it was Doc Rivers, the coach. We had his mother's funeral.
No kidding. So you get to meet Doc Rivers?
Yeah, I did arrangements with him and everything.
Oh, that was cool.
So the NBA players coming in, you kind of stargazing a little bit. It was
Anyone of note that you recognize?
Kevin Garnett, his son at the time, he came. He was a coach of the LA Clippers at the time. So Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, they all came to pay their respect. Like the whole team came.
I'd be like begging for autographs in front of the casket or something.
So that was one
That's cool.
higher profile service I've done recently.
That's legit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So all right.
Love it. Thanks.
Thanks.
You want to? Don't be nervous. What's your name?
My name is Raven Sapp.
Nice to meet you, Raven. Okay. Are you from Chicago? Where are you from? Okay. Chicago's known for a lot of interesting deaths, I would say, being here my whole life. What was one of the more challenging deaths that you ever had to deal with?
Oh, one of the most challenging deaths that I ever had to deal with. I would say, as you know, Chicago winters can be brutal. A gentleman was having a heart attack. And my assumption, of course, is that he was trying to get to a window to get some fresh air. Well, he passed away in the window. It was -degree weather. He had been there for a while. So when we got there, he was pretty much frozen in the window.
Like hanging over the side?
Yes. And it was literally probably like maybe -5 degrees.
So did you? This is crazy. So did you find out like how he passed? Like, was he actually getting fresh air? Like that is an insane.
So I said that was my assumption. Yeah. Because when we got the death certificate, it just basically said like heart attack. So again, my assumption based off the cause of death. So yeah.
Gosh. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis? What is your role like at the funeral home?
Yep. So I actually have my own funeral and mortuary service that I provide. So I do everything. I do removals. I do, of course, back office paperwork, funeral arrangements. So the whole nine.
So you're a jack of all trades. That's great. What is your favorite aspect then of this job? Because there are some highlights and a lot of lowlights too. So, and the highlights are worth the lowlights. So what would you say is your favorite part?
I would just say my favorite part is just having the family pleased through it all and just providing a level of comfort that I know at that time is hard for them to just have. So
That's a beautiful thing. What is your goal? This will be my last question. What is your goal with like your business? Do you have a goal?
I would just say my goal is to provide personalized care to each and every family, because I know there are a lot of funeral homes. I don't want to be the biggest. I just want to be the best, and just not even the best, but just provide a different level of service that I know some providers don't offer. So,
That's a beautiful thing. Do you want to say the name of your funeral service or do you want to hide that?
absolutely, I don't mind. It is Ravishing Hearts Mortuary Service. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you. Sarah, how's it going? Can you say your name for our audience?
Sarah Sexton. Hello.
Okay, Sarah. We're here with Compassion Funeral Service, big old event. We're talking all things funeral here today. What is your most challenging family that you have ever dealt with? Do you have a family that sticks out that was like, oh, that was a tough one?
Specifically, each is challenging in its own way. I think figuring out how to overcome those challenges varies from each family. And I mean, we've all got challenges.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
That's for sure. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis then? Are you more behind the scenes or are you front of the scenes? Or are you a little bit of a combination?
Currently, I'm taking a little hiatus from the funeral industry.
Jealous?
Still. But prior I was front office, arrangements, little bit in the prep room, primarily going out to Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. So just
So tell us about that. I mean, the national cemeteries are always, a beautiful sight, I would say, but they're also very difficult, as we know, to work with, not specifically, but as far as timing with the families. So tell us a little bit about those experiences with Abe Lincoln Cemetery.
I would say it's probably funerals that not nicest, but it's very it's touching. Like you said, scheduling can be difficult. Families, they want things now sometimes, and just as long as you are good with communication with the family, and it always ends up working out in my experience with the National Cemetery. So
That's huge. I think the communication is the most important thing. I recall one time we had a family that were going down to Abe Lincoln, but they weren't able to get him in for over a month. So it was such a challenge. So, like, obviously in the prep room, you're going to want to go a little bit extra than you normally would. And then on top of it, it's like, okay, are we refrigerating? What are we doing to preserve? And then making the family understand is a whole different aspect too.
yes, I would agree. I mean, ultimately, everything you just said is super important. And again, the national cemeteries, they just do such a good job of bringing everyone together and, recognizing the service of the veteran.
Right. That's the most important thing. And it's just beautiful. And it doesn't matter who you are, it'll move you to tears every single time you see it.
Every time, I swear, I'm holding back tears when I'm at that cemetery. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Great to see you. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, great. Don't be. It's a conversation. It's easy. It's easy. What's your name?
Ashley,
Ashley. Okay. How long you been a funeral director for or in funeral service?
I graduated in March of 2017.
2017. Okay. So you got some years underneath you. Where'd you go to school?
Worsham.
Me too. I was 14. So a little bit, a couple years apart. So what is your day-to-day role? And I guess what is your favorite thing about being a funeral director? Your number one thing.
Yeah. I would say the most rewarding part is just being able to help families and serve them. I didn't have such a good experience when I lost a loved one, and that kind of motivated me and drove me to pursue this industry. Originally, I was going to do healthcare. So it really changed my perspective, and that's how I kind of wound up here.
That's a beautiful thing. And I think that's the heart that you need to have it going into things. So are you able to help a lot of families out each day? Are you more front of the office or are you behind the scenes? A little bit of a mix?
I would say pretty much like meeting families, running services. That's like my more upfront kind of thing. But we do try to space it out at the firm that I work at to try to get everybody in rotation.
That's a beautiful thing. So give me one example of a different or a fun service that you had for a family. Have you done anything exotic over the years? Exotic? That's a funny word to describe it.
I would say no. We are pretty much like kind of the more traditional. Families will bring in things of their loved ones as like, mementos and things like that. Um, I try to tell families like, you can be creative, bring different things in. If you don't want to guess, all other things. I had one family sign rocks. The individual loved to be on the river, so they brought like rocks and they signed, and then they displayed that glass clear jar. So yeah, different things. Yeah.
It's so nice. I think it's just that personalized touch that does everything. What would be one piece of advice? Let's say someone's coming to mortuary school or considering it. What is a piece of advice that you give to a young funeral director?
I think with like any job that you pursue, you're gonna have your ups and downs, right? But I would say hands on for sure is the way to go. Like I am not a textbook person. I learned on the job, hands on. So start. It's the only way. So get into the funeral home. Like if you're thinking about it, start as a wake attendant. Get in there, hands on, just to get that experience to know if that's what you're wanting to pursue. Because once you're kind of in the program, it's kind of hard to like, leave it if you don't find yourself that you're loving it. So
yeah. So test the waters well first. Yeah,
I did. Especially because I was on the fence, like back and forth between nursing and that, and then I got in there and I was like, I love it, and that's how I just kept going.
Beautiful thing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Great to meet you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Now I work inside. Yeah, I working at the for 6 years.
Cool. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally haven't seen you since work.
Yeah, it's crazy. Really? You want to talk? Come on. It's easy. You're talking to me one-on-one. What's going on? All right, tell us who you are.
My name's William Hamilton.
Okay. And you work for Compassion, who's hosting this event here today. So do you do a lot of removals then, a lot of transfers?
Yeah, I do. Some nights it's maybe 3, some nights it's a dozen. It was a
What was the most you've ever done in a day, like 24-hour stretch?
24-hour stretch, I'd say a dozen.
Wow. So that means you're literally on the hour pretty much. Every hour is running around. Is there a part that you enjoy about it that's not, the aspect of actually removal, like driving around or getting to have some peace alone, or is anything like that?
I think anybody who has spent time driving around or doing trade work can admit road time goes by a little bit faster. It's a little bit more peaceful.
I agree. Like I was just dropping off yesterday some cremated remains. I was running all over the city. And just sometimes when you have that alone time, you get to take a breath. Like it's a beautiful thing. What was one of the most challenging or the most challenging transfers you've ever had? I haven't done so many. They've had some.
I'd say the most challenging was probably there was a gentleman of 500 pounds, second floor apartment. So it took a small team. I mean, I count as 2 just on my own. So, but it still took a few of us.
What did you guys do then to get him out of there?
We put him on sort of a plastic carry sled, and we just, as I always say, with as much dignity as we can muster. But past a certain point, it's just you got to do it.
Yeah, you just have to do like whatever it takes to get through. So how many people did it take?
It took 5 of us.
It was what do you do like in that situation with the family then? Like how do you tastefully tell them, or do you just ask them, please go to the side room, or what is the process usually like?
Well, in that case, it was very merciful because it was actually a police call. There wasn't it. But on the cases where I have had to move an obese case, you just I peek my head out the door and I just try to be honest with them and careful. But most of the time they get it. They know.
Well, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Thanks so much.
Yeah, come here. Come be on the show with me. Seriously, come be on this with me. It'll be funny.
All right, let's do it. All right, who do we have here today?
I'm Brooke Benjamin.
Jeff Wallowik.
Wait, let me say my company name. Inclusive Funeral Care.
Oh,
Parkside Chapels and Cremation Services.
wow. Okay. All right. So do we have a rivalry here, or is it a friendship?
Oh,
Friendship.
we're all in it together.
That's right.
The idea. There's enough to go
Kumbaya.
around that you never know when you're going to need help.
Absolutely. That's true.
All your pre-needs when you go out of it.
Well, all right. That's fair. That's an easy transaction. See, we're facilitating on the Mortuary Show here today. All right. I want you each to say your bar story, a funeral service. So let's say you go to a party, someone hears that you're in funeral service. Everyone's got that one story. What's your one story?
We're dying to get in. Or is that
You mean the story that we tell them?
the story that you would tell a friend, let's say they want to be like, oh, a crazy story or a crazy family or a situation that you had to deal with.
They're crazy, but
I'm not in the business of humiliating people, especially not myself. But I will say that people are endlessly and boundlessly fascinating. And if you don't laugh, you will cry. But I'm not going to let loose on any of my anecdotes. And there are a lot of them.
I concur with.
I will say older people are funny.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is something that younger people don't realize is that people in their 70s and 80s have been around the block. My grandmother used to say to me, "You kids think you invented sex." Because older people have had lives and you need to ask people questions and they will tell you sometimes everything about them. And people are funny and fascinating.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, older people are much more fun to deal with than the what is it, Xers or.
Sure.
You're Generation X. I hate to break this to you. How old are you?
I'm 62. I'll be 62 next
Oh,
month.
you're maybe a
I'm a baby boomer.
baby
Yeah. How about you?
Gen X.
Gen X.
Oh, yes.
All right. So what is a question that you would ask your family? So you're trying to get some more information out of them, trying to encourage them to talk and learn a little bit maybe about them or their loved one. What's something that you would ask to get them talking?
I start with what did they do for work or were they busy raising a family, which is work I'm to understand. I've opted out of it myself, but what did they do for work? Because in America, we tend to, that's how we identify. What do you do with this third of your life? We sleep,
Like, who are you?
we work,
I'm a funeral
and
director.
we do other. What did they do for work? And then all sorts of information tumbles out.
Well, from there, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of break the ice with them. A lot of times the families I have a connection with because it's either second or third generation they've served. I came from a neighborhood in Chicago and we talk about old times,
How about this question?
What's-
Where did you go to high school?
Yeah.
Right. Where did your parents?
Or what, I was born and raised Catholic, so a lot of them, centered around churches, so in the neighborhoods and backyards of Chicago. Well, that's originally. So it's like behind the stockyards of Chicago. And, but it's now pretty much blighted, where a funeral home used to be.
What's the Catholic church there that the Kennedys built around? Is it Stanislaus or?
Yeah, that's in Wicker Park.
He just passed away.
Yeah, she's
Saint
Stanislaus. Yeah, Ethel Kennedy.
just passed away.
Yeah, she when I went to seminary for high school, she came and spoke to us. It was back like at 77.
Oh, here, I'll tell you a story. I had a memorial service for a lovely woman who worked for the Merchandise Mart. Here, they can't see how awesome I am. They worked for the Merchandise Mart. She worked for the Merchandise Mart, and she was very dedicated and devoted to her job and to her mission as the executive secretary to the family that owned the Merchandise Mart.
Yeah.
And one of the Kennedys' wives lost her wedding ring at Fourth Presbyterian Church during this memorial service. So it was a hunt, a scavenger hunt for
Did they find it?
that I don't remember, but I did go back and look. I didn't find it, so I don't know if they did. But people are people no matter where you go. So it doesn't even matter if there's history to your family's name, and we all have history, but whether there's wealth or some sort of ability to drop someone's name, we're all people. So.
Right. So both of you have your own businesses. How did you start it, or what came to be when you wanted to go start your own business? Were you in funeral service before? Or is this something that was just a passion or calling for you?
I was born and raised in a funeral home. I lived above the funeral home all my life. Decided to go to mortuary school and then ended up buying a business from my dad.
I hung my own shingle about 2 years ago, went into partnership with a pre-existing business, and I've got the best business partner in the world. Man, is he great. But he had no cases. He was doing all trade work. And then I came on, and now we have all the cases because I've lived here my whole life, have tentacles into different communities. But it's the best thing that I have ever done with my life was to go independent. At the age of 52, I got this courage to do it. I wish I'd been able to do it 15 years earlier.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. All right, my last question for you. For someone that's starting out in their career of funeral service, what is one piece of advice you would have for someone?
Cover up your tattoos.
Yes.
It's not about the creepy crawlies. It's not about what happens to our bodies after we're done using them. Although there is certainly talent, you've got to focus on who that individual was. So I think it's not who just died, it's who's lived. That's actually our tagline. So, find out who your client is and who your family is and try to find some common ground.
Right. And take care of people.
We're almost pathologically hardwired in this industry to be in the service of others.
Yeah.
So that's your job.
Yeah.
It's not about you, the director. It's about your client.
Beautiful. Well, thank you both so much.
Just like Curtis.
Oh, yes, of course. You earned it so much.
What's your last name? Oh, yeah, I've seen you around, for sure.
So, yeah, this week's the next week with the recap.
Oh, okay.
So, take
Okay.
a look out for it. Great job. Thanks, John.
Oh, so podcast.
Yeah. That's right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, you look great. What's your name?
Melisha Porter,
Alicia, nice to meet you. Are you a funeral director? What do you do?
director and embalmer.
Which one do you like more, directing or embalming?
I would say embalming because nobody's talking back.
You don't have to deal with people.
Everything is whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you do when you're in the prep room? Are you listening to music? Are you listening to the Mortuary Show? Are you listening to books? Or do you just enjoy your thoughts?
It's going to sound morbid.
Oh, no.
I talk to the deceased. So
What?
I talk to the deceased.
What do you say to them?
Pretty much I explain my procedure. So I let them know that, okay, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, I'm going to wash you down right now. This is what we're doing now. I have to do it this way, especially when I'm massaging or flexing the muscles. I tell them this is what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be aggressive. Relax. I do that. And then if I run into any difficulties, then me and them starts to really talk. Like I know in life you would
Start swearing at them?
No, I don't do that. I believe in spirits. I don't want that problem. So I usually tell them like, okay, why is you being difficult? I need mom and dad or children to look at you and see that we did a great job and that you're at peace. So relax, show me something, give me some expressions. Come on, live a little.
Oh, what a good way to do it. You know they're going to cooperate then.
Yeah, at least, yeah. But it tends to keep me at ease and it keeps me kind of patient when I'm doing the embalming process. I don't rush. I just take my time, pull away, come back. So it's smooth.
I think one of the things with that is it makes you more present in that moment where you're focusing on what you're actually doing. And that's just a beautiful thing. And I think you're able to get in touch with who they were as a person or like the situation what the reason you're doing it for.
And you can kind of feel the love from the family transferring to them and them to them. To their family. So when you're in that process or in that moment, you can then let them know like, okay, everything is well. So when you're going back to talk to the family, you say, well, mom or dad or a child looks at peace, everything. You could feel the love in the room. And so, yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. I'll have to take that trick. That's really nice. I am. Yes, I am. I just been embalming myself. Plenty actually back in the day. Not as much anymore, but I have done probably 1,000 cases, something like that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was in the healthcare field for about 13 years before I
do
CNA. My best thing was hospice care. And I used to volunteer.
Easy transition.
Hospital, yes, doing the postmortem care. So after CNA, I did EMT, dialysis. Yeah. And then the crazy part is I'm a veteran. So,
thank you for your service.
Thank you. I did a lot. And when I was in the service, I wasn't even in healthcare. I took the test to be a corpsman, but ended up having to be military police. So it's all right.
You've had like 4 full lives already. I mean, and why come to here? I mean, I guess it's the natural transition.
But healthcare is a passion. It's a passion. And I saw a quote yesterday. I was at the Indiana continuing education because I'm licensed in Indiana.
So you just bounce around from one to the other every day?
Indeed. Yes, indeed. But it said funeral service is not a job that I have. It's not a job that I do. It's a passion that I have. And that resonated so deeply to me because it's a passion. Because before I did any healthcare, I was taking care of my grandfather who was diabetic, blind, and an amputee. So, and I was 12, 13 doing this. So caring for people, that's a service that we have to pay to live here on this earth. That's what I think. You have to be there for one another because everybody at one point or another will have to look out for the next man. So you might as well just get involved with it now. That's why you have to teach your children how to be considerate of others. But you never know who got to bring you that glass of ice water. You never know.
I love that. That's a great line. Have you ever, so you're talking to these people in the prep room, Have you ever had one of your like coworkers walk in and be like, "What are you doing in there?"
I get quiet when I hear them walking up. So I just,
So you start whispering in their ear.
or just say it in my head because I just feel the spirit know how to read.
Sure.
So I just start saying things in my head to them. Yeah, or we'll pause the conversation. I'll give them the look like,
Yeah.
yeah, so back.
What was more challenging, working in hospice or being a funeral director?
Hospice, because the family think they're prepared for their loved one to go, but when the transition actually takes place and you can't call them back, you can't see the eyes open, the smile, the reactions to a certain stimuli, that it's stone cold. Yeah, and you can do everything you can to say, I'm there for you, I'm here for you, but no one can actually feel what you're feeling. And that's real hard. When my dad passed in 2018, I had to do my dad. So I was his only child and only daughter. So here I am as the daughter and the funeral director. And that was the roughest time. And you can never prepare yourself.
No.
You cannot prepare yourself. Even when you have the hospice team working with you and stuff, when someone you love pass away, all the memories flood you. It floods you because you at a point like, okay, it's over. I can't get these times back. That time they called and I sent it to voicemail. Man, I should have picked up. I should have said this. It's rough. Yeah, so hospice would definitely be the rough one. Yeah.
And that just gives you perspective, I think, so that every day when you're in this field that we're in, it gives you that mentality that you have to think about your family, think about your friends.
That's the best thing about this industry. When you get a case in, when you sit with a family, you go home and you pour extra love into yours because it reminds you that cherish every moment. Don't try to beat the clock down working and you missing all of the life that's right there in front of you. It makes you do it. So yeah.
Mic drop. That's it.
Thank you so much. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, don't worry. We're just having a conversation. What's your name?
Diana.
Diana, how long have you been in funeral service for?
So I started when I was 16. I would work after high school, and then I took a 6-month break when I went to community college, and then COVID hit, and I started with a funeral home that I'm currently at, and I've been technically full-time besides when I went to Worsham.
Good for you. What were you doing when you were 16 at the funeral home, and why?
So I would help answer the phones. I'd work visitations, hearse driver, just kind of miscellaneous cleaning. I do a lot of just opening doors and greeting people and just kind of helping. Didn't do night transfers, but just would come and help and hand instruments when need be. And I've always wanted to do it, but I just started young and I was like, might as well get into it now. And instead of working just a job at Subway or something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more experience and then you get to try it out to make sure it's something you want to do.
That was a big thing for me. And when I started where I was at, we would get a lot of students and programs that would come in and just say what do you recommend? And it's always go to a funeral home before you go to mortuary school because it is an eye opener. And that's why I'm glad I did because I started in the role at the bottom of the totem pole. You were opening doors and cleaning and now I'm a licensed director and I do more. And so it's nice to kind of be in that chain and I've grown and it gives you much more respect for the people that are the starting out and the newbies that don't know what to do. So yeah.
I'm with you. And I've heard other reverse side of the situation where people want to stick it to people on the lower level. But I love that mentality where it's hey, you've been here before. You put yourself in their shoes just like you would with any other family or just it's someone that's working for you and together. And it's all part of the bigger system, I'd say.
And one thing that my mentor, he was my sponsor, that he's the general manager that always told me is I will never tell someone to do something that I have not ever done and would never do myself. So now that I've been licensed a few years, I'm there's apprentices and I'm trust me, I've been through it. I've done it. And it's the biggest thing. I mean, I knew what it was like to be at the bottom of the totem pole. And now I'm kind of in that middle ground, but we're all still the same. We've all been through it all and we all had to start somewhere. So starting at a young age and then still doing it.
So how do you like dealing with families and being in the prep room? What's your preference? And yeah.
So I am mainly up front. I would prefer to meet families, take funerals out. Out of my group last year, I met the most amount of families and I was an apprentice for half the year because the state of Illinois took 6 months to get me my license.
So
yes. And it was, I know it took forever and I would call, but I'll go in the back if I need to, but I'd prefer to be up front, but I still love it. I still enjoy doing it every day and technically when you look at it, you do something different every day. And that was a big thing for me, but I still really enjoy it. And I still get all the questions of you're too young to be here and what are you doing? And you look like you just graduated high school, but I still really like it.
What do you say? What do you say to those families that they talk about how young you are?
I say everyone is in a different point of life and starts at a different point of life. And I started when I was 16 and I kind of just grew up pretty quick and I knew what I wanted and I didn't want to waste time to do it. And now I get to have a stable career at the age of 23 and I'm married and bought a house. And it's not something many people get to say that they could do. And I had that between the ages of 20 and 23 and you might as well start while you can. Don't wait. I did not want to wait. I wanted to go to worship and I wanted to experience it and have fun. And that was a big thing.
I mean, you get that experience like from being in funeral services, like let's do life. I mean, you're further than I am in life and I'm 10 years older than you. So,
well, and that was a big thing too, is, the being so young, you're invincible. Nothing's ever going to happen to you. I'm going to live until I'm 95. Yeah. And that was one of those where it's like, why waste time? Why wait? What am I doing? Like, let's just get into it. Let's enjoy it. And let's start now. And you never know where your 401k is going to take you. So let's just get into it.
do you think you're going to do it forever? I know you're still like getting started and it would be a long, long career for you. So do you think?
I would say yes, because I still enjoy it. I'm now starting to learn a better work and home balance. And that has been a big thing going, especially into a marriage. And I have a very supportive spouse. He's very appreciative of everything that I do and I am with him. And so I would say yes. I have a director that I work with. He just hit 52 years and he's a big inspiration. He's still involved in just his community outreach with people. So it's like, I want that one day. I want to be that person that, oh, you took care of my mom 20 years ago and now you're taking care of my spouse 20 years later. And it's just like, I remember you and you're very big in the community. And so I would like to kind of be into that role as well.
I think it's so good to have that level of mentorship and to find that balance. I think it takes quite some time for most funeral directors to get it down because a lot of us are gung-ho right out the bat, and then you tend to burn yourself out. So thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
I had to say his name.
Yeah, you had to drop it, and I was like, now you have to come on the pod. All right, what's your name?
Cliff Laird.
All right, Cliff. You were an acquaintance, I would say, of Ben Schmidt, who's been on the podcast a couple times. What is a story about Ben that people wouldn't know in the industry, since he calls himself so well known?
He didn't always know everything that he teaches.
No.
He started with us as a student when he was just getting into the business, and as he started growing, and now he's author of 2 books.
Yeah.
Is it 2 now?
Ben?
I'm not sure, but yeah. No, he's used to not be as talkative, used to be a little more quiet and shy.
Well, I mean, that's good. So you taught him everything you know?
I didn't. He was a teacher of mine at school, but my family firm, he learned a couple of things that he probably teaches. Not everything, because he's taught us some stuff as well.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's good to be spreading the knowledge, everyone learning from each other. What's one takeaway that you've learned over your years that a funeral director might want to know? So are you more in the prep room side of things? Are you front office? Are you a mix?
Mix. Family firms will do everything.
What's one suggestion, like someone just getting started? What is a tip you would have for them?
Don't be afraid to try something new. Don't stick to what somebody says is the only way to do something. There's more than one way to peel an orange.
That's a huge thing. I mean, Jack Adams just spoke here, and he is the biggest proponent of that, is being aggressive, especially in the prep room when people are just getting started. I feel like there's a tendency to be a little bit timid, and the only way you're going to improve is just by trying things, I'd say.
Definitely, because I mean, I guarantee you, Jack has still learned things in the last 5 years, even over almost 60 years now of experience. He still can learn new things.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. What's your favorite thing about being a funeral director?
Making a family feel more at ease with doing a viewing and being relieved that the pain and suffering is over.
I mean, I feel like everyone's, speaking from the heart there for sure. What is your least favorite thing about being a funeral director?
Also, probably dealing with families, because every family has dynamics. Everybody grieves differently, and sometimes it gets taken out on you inadvertently, but hardest part is also the best parts.
Yeah. I mean, it's the give take. You fight through the hard times for those good times. We just had a family this week that we're helping that was going through a tough time, and you could tell they were trying to take it out on someone. And then you just got to put yourself in their shoes and meet it with over amount of kindness, over amount of communication. And I think that's the best way to overcome that thing.
Definitely. But at the same time, maybe limit the over kindness, because sometimes too much can be too much for them as well. So
love smushing them.
Gotta balance it. All
right, last question for you. What was your craziest story that you've ever had as a funeral director? So if you're at a party and someone asks you, "Oh, you're a funeral director," what was something crazy that happened to you? What's that story for you?
Craziest thing,
We all got one in there. I know you got one.
Probably be an apprentice that I had probably 5 years ago. I won't say his name. If he sees this, he'll know who I'm talking about. I warned him before he went into the house, because I'd gone in already, that it was not the most pleasant situation we're going to walk into. It was a hoarder house, and it was not clean at all. And he was not in the house for more than 10 seconds and was gagging nonstop. And I told him, just go to the car. I'll have the police officer help me. And the police officer helped me, and he tapped out, and let's just say he's no longer in this profession.
That was gonna be my next question. Is he done after that? Oh, that's too good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Yep, take care.
Shoot. All right, coming live from Convention Center. What's your name, sir?
Marcel.
Marcel, how are you?
That's fantastic. Good to be here, man.
I want to ask you, what was your craziest day ever?
So it's been like one of the days of my first week. I was doing observation actually. I actually wasn't even licensed here. I was kind of wondering if this is something I want to do. I met this lady at the funeral home on the west side of Chicago. She had a couple cases, so she called me up. I met her over there. She's like, "You ready?" I said, "No, I guess." That's find out today. So the two first cases that I witnessed were size.
Tough first.
Yeah, and the second one, it was like back to back all at the same time. I was a baby, so it was kind of just a shocker. But that kind of my introduction into it, like a really big obese, person. Well, body's like, man, this is crazy. What? I think how many families are. Personally, I'm probably 20 to 30, maybe 30 on the high end, 8. Yeah.
So you got some hours.
Yeah. Sure.
What is one trick?
Oh, not a week. I'm sorry. That's in a month.
I'm not going down.
He's not running that.
A week. I'm not running that hard. All right, give us.
I just lied.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Cases. Give us one little tip that you've got. Or what's one little trick that you use that someone might get?
Like an embalming tip?
Yeah.
Sometimes low. That's like the demoness case. Like that. You want to go low and get that swelling down? Sure. I learned that. That's the best method, low and slow. Having your fluid mixed up. A lot of old people use that Epsom salt in the tank. Get that fluid out of the body, or leak guard or something like that. But yeah, low and slow. Yeah. That's the best advice I can give for a demoness case. Yeah. What would you say? What would you say? Am I wrong? Am I right?
No, I love it. I love that. My favorite tip, it's the exact opposite scenario. Biggest fan of humectants. The more moisture, the better. Like, I feel like that old school style, they're rigid, brittle. I'm like, no, we want to have it feel a little bit more natural. So I'm like, give me as much humectant as there is.
Well, let me ask you this, like I said, sometimes I would use the old school method. I would use Epsom salt if I don't have any leak guard or a deep flow, something like that.
Does that mess up the machine?
Yeah. But I put it in a net, like something mesh.
Oh, all right.
So you don't want to put the salt directly into the tank, because we don't want to
got it.
Yeah. So like in cases like that, I love to make too. Yeah. Right. I would still add a little bit into the tank.
Gotcha.
Not sure about the parents for one of the things.
Balance it out.
But in my mind, I'm like, it's work.
I'm still doing.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of dope. But yeah, that's my thing, dude. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Pretty cool. Keep going, man.
Very nice. Good job.